We are live, heavy on live with Scoop B, which is broadcasting through Heavy's YouTube channel, Heavy on Patriots and Periscope. We're in the building with the one and only Marshall Faulk. Marshall, what's going on, brother?
Nothing much, man. Nothing much. Just enjoying the Monday, making sure it's the best Monday of my life.
I know it. I'm trying to make it the best Monday of my life, but this weekend has definitely been a drag when you look at some of the deaths that have gone on. Chadwick Boseman, Clifford Robinson, and then today, the late John Thompson, a legendary head coach of Georgetown. Did you know any of those guys?
Met Chadwick. Met the legend, Coach Thompson. It's and obviously, any death, you take it hard, but for a lot of guys, man, Coach Thompson touched a lot of young men, man. Sports, people don't understand what sports and how for a lot of us, coaches are to the guys who grow up fatherless, or for the majority of us, a lot of guys, let's just say their father maybe were incarcerated or wasn't around. That coach was like dad. And even for the ones who had a father, when you went to college, you went to Georgetown, he was your extended father.
Mm-hmm.
And he meant so much, man. And I'm talking about a powerful man. I'm talking like just a force. When you saw the stoic, that guy standing, when he stood up on the sideline, it was just impressive, the respect that he got from his players. And he is going to be missed, man.
The first person I thought about when that went down was Allen Iverson. We know the story of AI and how he, wasn't recruited, all that stuff that went on in his past, and his mother showed up to John Thompson's place and begged him, please take my boy, please take my boy. For you, who was that positive figure in your life as a coach, college, NFL career at large, that you hold in high regard, like John Thompson?
So ironically, my high school coach, who, being from New Orleans, just sad, tragic, this COVID took him away from us. Guy was married 50 some odd years, and you got to die alone because, you can't be with your family. Just devastating that we lost him. Probably the most, and I wouldn't say probably, the most influential man in my life as far as connecting sports and real life, and showing me the parallels of being a good man and being a good athlete, and how you toe the same line, and I would have to say, he was that person for me. He took the athlete and made me, a football player. He made me. I played all sports, but he made me not just play the game of football, but understand and learn the game of football from a mental perspective at a young age. And it allowed me to go to college and take those talents beyond college to the pros, and not be known as just a guy that ran the football, but a guy that you thought about it, regardless of what position we put him at, he could possibly be good at this game, and that was all
being
because
humble.
of him.
You're being humble. MVP in 2000, Super Bowl champion as you sip your coffee, 7-time Pro Bowler. Brother, when COVID first hit.
I can't hear you right now.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can't.
This is like a Verizon commercial. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now, Marshall? Marshall, are you there?
I still can't hear you.
Are you sure? Okay. Brandon Scoopy Robinson here with Heavy Live with Scoop B. We're having some technical difficulties with Marshall Faulk. He'll be back on in a minute. But this is an interview that I'm glad you all are joining in on. A 2000 a 2000 regular season MVP. This guy was a Super Bowl legend with the St. Louis Rams, playing with the legend Kurt Warner in the game against the Tennessee Titans. This guy has a lot of records. Three-time first-team All-Pro from 1999 to 2001. Was a seven-time Pro Bowler, as I mentioned. Had his number 28 retired by the Rams. Heisman Trophy winner in 1992. San Diego State Aztec legend. Ran for over 12,000 yards during his NFL career. As he mentioned before, is a New Orleans native. Attended Carver High School in the city of New Orleans. And talked about his coach. We're going to have him on in a minute because I got some questions, and I have some questions. 5'10", 211-pound running back, was the second pick in the 1994 NFL Draft. Hall of Famer. We back. Marshall, what's up? Can you hear me? He can hear me, I think. Marshall, are you there? Marshall. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Hey, Juan.
Can you hear me?
Hold on one second. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can't. Hold on one second, Juan. I can't hear you, B.
Hold on one second.
And I'm good. Like I'm.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I don't know why I can't hear you. Hold on one second.
We're gonna make this work.
So yeah, we can't do that.
So yeah, like we were saying, as we're trying to figure out this sound issue, Marshall Faulk, second pick in the 1994 NFL Draft, and yeah, we are going to figure that out as we speak. One of the things that I found interesting as we have,
I'll hop on here while we in case you need somebody to yak with while we get Marshall.
We've got Heavy Senior. What is your title? You're managing editor.
I am the manager. I'm the producer of this show, and I'm the managing editor of Heavy.
Managing editor of Heavy. Ben Duty is on the line. Ben, I'm tired from this this John Thompson thing, man. It's really sad.
Yeah, we were talking off air about if you grew up, as Scoop and I both grew up in the 90s in the Northeast, being huge basketball fans. And there were just not very many people who were that big of a figure. I mean, from the 80s, really the 80s through the late 90s. Mm-hmm. And I grew up a UConn fan, as is the case with most, I think, UConn fans my age. I've seen 4 UConn national championships. My favorite UConn game of all time by far is the 1996 Big East Championship game at the Garden with Ray Allen for UConn, mm-hmm. AI for Georgetown, back and forth game, a year in which I think UConn and Georgetown were both. UConn was a 1 seed in the tournament. I think Georgetown was 2, and that was that was UConn's first Big East tournament championship. But as a UConn fan, the fact that they went through Georgetown and John Thompson and AI to get there made it more special than if they just went through, Providence or someone. No disrespect to Providence. Anyway, we'll. I think whatever we had with Marshall is on Marshall's end with the audio. So we'll see if he can get that sorted out. Definitely want to get him back, and we'll get his thoughts on a bunch of football stuff, obviously, including the Patriots quarterback situation. Whether Cam is QB1 for Bill Belichick September 13th against the Dolphins, and some other football thoughts in addition to what you guys are covering earlier. Let's see if we can get him back and pop him back in and see if Marshall's got his audio okay. And if I hope this isn't the case, and the off chance we can't make that happen again, then we'll get Marshall on really soon. But let's Let's give it.
We're speaking by faith.
We'll see what we can roll here.
We will have Marshall on in a few minutes. Believe you me.
Okay. You want to get him in now, Scoop, or you think he still needs a minute?
I just sent a text. He should be coming back pretty soon, so we're just trying to figure that out right now.
All right, gotcha.
Yes,
Meanwhile, not a ton of comments, but some people hopping in saying, giving Marshall props for being real, not being a fake person, which is definitely the case for Marshall's work as really one of the. Granted, he's not the only person who's done this, but he's Marshall, I think, is probably at the top of most people's list in terms of being a Hall of Fame player who turns into a really good analyst. Plenty of people who are one but not the other. There are plenty of Hall of Famers who make terrible analysts, and plenty of people who who were not NFL Hall of Famers who make good analysts. Go back to UConn. My guy Dan Orlovsky has been a really, really good NFL analyst. Now he's getting a ton of airtime on ESPN. Dan played a decade in the NFL, which is a decade more scoop than you and I have. But he was not a Hall of Fame player like Marshall Faulk. So the fact that Marshall's been able to do both has been great.
Yep. When I think of the NFL and I think of you talked about us being child of the 90s, we can proudly say that as grown men. The names that stand out to me aren't just Marshall Faulk. I think of Barry Sanders. I think of Emmitt Smith. I think of even, to be honest with you, Brian Westbrook, his level of versatility. I remember, being a college student at Eastern University right outside of Philly and watching that team with Westbrook and Donovan McNabb and Terrell Owens and just marveling at the way that Westbrook was able to line on the field in different ways, off the slot, at the traditional running back spot. And he can do so many different things. And as I was talking to Marshall, I was thinking about just the level of versatility that stands out. And one of the people that I think, can have that level of versatility in this era is the Dallas Cowboys' Ezekiel Elliott, who has been an impact player coming out the gate. You look at Saquon Barkley, same thing. You're seeing an era of just versatile running backs that are able to do so many things with the football. And I think that's just a sign of just in sports, athletes doing so many different things, right? In comparison to like basketball, you see guards or forwards who can do guard things. In the NFL, you're seeing, running backs that can do multiple things. And one person that I think about in that regard too, that I wish, had a longer career was Cordell Stewart. He could line up, at the quarterback position. He could play wide receiver. I remember during his days with the Patriots, spelling Neil O'Donnell in certain situations. So I definitely think that Marshall Faulk was ahead of his time. And I think you're seeing some of today's players reminiscent of that, who remind me of that.
We'll get Jeff Smith on here, depending on how Marshall's doing. Jeff, who's our sports editor, has a good question in the comments. Keep the questions coming in the comments, by the way, and we'll do our best to tee him up for Marshall when he's able to hop back on. And Jeff's question is Cam the answer for the Patriots beyond the 2020 season? As a Patriots fan, I think the answer is maybe, hopefully. I don't think Cam Newton's going to be the Patriots quarterback. I don't think he's going to be the Patriots quarterback like 5 years from now. But I could see him being the Patriot quarterback in 2021, 2022, depending on how things play out this year. But I'm pretty excited about this. I think most Patriot fans I've talked to feel the same way, which is we don't know how things are going to look with Cam, but we feel like the chances the Patriots make a deep playoff run here, I'll take him with Cam Newton under center rather than Jarrett Stidham under center for sure. See where we have it. Let's see. I'll tell you what. While we filibuster here and wait for Marshall, we'll try to get Marshall on in just a second. We're bringing on Jeff Smith with his heavy hat, sports editor of Heavy.
Hey, Jeff.
Into the mix here. Jeff, good question about go wherever you want with this, but good question about Cam. What's your answer to that question on whether Cam is going to be a Patriot, is going to be a major part of the Patriots beyond this year?
Well, see, since I'm from North Carolina, I've seen the Cam Newton show here, and one thing I'll tell you is an angry Cam Newton is a different Cam Newton. He's motivated. He's going to be hungry. It's going to be fun to watch him this year. I think he could be in for a really, really big season, and I think it would make sense for the Patriots to lock him up for the long term. But I think a lot of that will come down to the confidence in Stidham, obviously. Like if he comes out and they think there's actually a chance that he could be the future, then they may not delay that all that long, you'd assume, right? So I think it'll be interesting, but it's going to be fun to watch. Cam with the Patriots is pretty much perfect. It's about all you could hope for as an NFL fan, I guess, even if you don't like the Patriots.
Yeah, it was going to be interesting. The post-Brady era was going to be interesting with Jarrett Stidham or Brian Hoyer under center, but this is another level of interesting.
Yep.
So eager to see Patriots-Dolphins, Tua against Cam, September 13th.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. It's going to be a good time. I think I'm interested to see how that plays out. There's a lot of interesting quarterback situations in the NFL, obviously. I mean, you read a lot about Joe Burrow and kind of how he's been up and down kind of through camp. There's been really good, and then there's been some kind of bad, but it's tough to tell. I mean, there's a lot of these young guys are really going to be hit or miss, I think, obviously.
All right, here's the deal, Scoop. We're gonna try something that is I think would make us pretty adept broadcasters if we can pull this off. And we're going to put Marshall back in. So Marshall joins us.
What up, Marshall? Can you hear us?
I can hear you now.
Amen.
So Marshall, you can hear Scoop now too?
Yeah, I can hear Scoop now.
Okay. Marshall told me in the chat a minute ago that he could hear everybody but you. So what I was going to do, and this could be an audition for like future TV work for all of us, was have Scoop talk. Jeff and I could facilitate, let Marshall make sure Marshall knew what the hell Scoop was saying.
He's going to be the moderator, huh?
Yeah,
okay,
right.
So let's
Nice.
There we go.
Let's reset.
But here's this here. I'll facilitate this reset, and I'm gonna hop out. Before you get back to it, I do think Jeff's question's a good one, so I'll ask it. Which is, and again, we're on broadcasting here on the Heavy on Patriots Facebook page. Marshall, what do you make of the Patriots QB situation? Who do you expect to be QB1 for New England Week 1, and what can Patriot fans expect out of Cam Newton? And then I'll head backstage with that.
Good question. If you know anything, and you guys do, I shouldn't just give that up like that. They know. Although Bill Belichick has been there forever, sometimes when you're a fan, you don't really pay attention to the things that your coach do. You just enjoy the success. Anything that beats Bill Belichick, he adapts to it, and that becomes his calling card. He figured out last year that 11-on-11 football was the hardest thing in the world to beat. Lamar Jackson kicked his butt. Can't beat him.
Yeah.
The way you play football, if that quarterback can handle the physicalness and running the football and can throw the ball, you have something. Now, Cam is a better passer than Lamar. He's a more physical runner, not as fast. So Belichick saw what teams struggled with, and you are going to see him deploy Cam. Now, don't be surprised if you see other quarterbacks come in the game at times. Bill can do that. Bill, he doesn't care. That your feelings doesn't matter to him. Your stats, who you are, does not matter to him. i.e., Tom Brady is gone.
Why do you think that there's such an apprehension for Cam Newton in New England when you look at comments on Twitter? Is it his style? Is it his pizzazz? Is it something that is it the epitome of one candidate coming in that's completely different than the next? What do you make of it?
You ready?
Yes.
You ready?
Yeah.
Cam's, first of all, he's polarizing. Second of all, tell me what black starting quarterback you've seen win the job, not just get the job because somebody's hurt, win the job in New England since they've been the Patriots, Boston or New England. You tell me. You tell me. Yeah.
Because you typically see that in Philadelphia.
Okay. Now, all right. Cool. what more do you need me to say? And they could act like they could say what they want to say. It looks different to them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not number 12. It looks different. So they can't hang their hat on it. They've hung their hat on number 12, and he's been since 1999. He's been something that they could rely on. Mm-hmm. You know, it was like, okay, our quarterback, your quarterback, check. They got the check on that one.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like, I don't know.
What do you think? Obviously, winning is the answer, but what specifically do you think Cam has to do to win people over? Is it just win? Is it what is it?
I don't think he can do enough. You're coming behind Tom Brady. What can you do?
Mm-hmm.
What's he gonna do?
Nothing.
Serious. This would be like Kobe Bryant going to play for the Bulls after Jordan.
Yeah, I think
make Kobe rest in heaven, man. But that would have been a tough one.
Tell me something. Do you think that Tom Brady shows and proves in Tampa Bay?
Well, it depends on. There's low hanging fruit,
right?
Like, it's Tampa. Like, come on.
Well, let me be specific. So when I look at, I have a throwback jersey collection. When I look at my Joe Montana 49ers, and when I look at my Joe Montana Kansas City Chiefs, I say this is Tom Brady's Kansas City Chiefs Joe Montana moment.
Exactly. And here's the thing. And this is what you have to understand. Joe Montana, greatness took the Chiefs to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Like Tom Brady, his greatness can take the Bucs to the playoffs. Now you need players around you to win the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how it is. You need other things around you.
That's real. You before we got cut off, I was segueing into the Super Bowl and your greatness. And as COVID hit, everybody was running for toilet paper. And from a sports perspective, I was thinking about your teammate, Kurt Warner, and the fact that he was stocking groceries years ago. $1 million question. Why didn't he get an endorsement deal with a toilet paper company, doing commercials, throwing them at the carts? Could you see him doing something like that?
You know, man, I think certain times, you know, you just want to put some things behind you.
Sure.
You know, you just want to put some things behind you.
That's real. That's real. That's real. When I look at my childhood and I look at you, I see the 90s. I see you, Emmitt Smith, Barry Sanders. As much as you played in the NFL, I'm sure you are a fan of players.
Oh, yeah.
When you look at the GOATs and the GOAT conversation in basketball, people always talk about Michael, they talk about Kobe, they talk about LeBron. Comparatively in the NFL, in your era, where do you place yourself with the Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith? So the three, your top three.
I mean, I'm always consider myself the best.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how I look at myself. But here's how I rank myself. And if anybody ever want to know, you know, when I played, how I looked and viewed what I did and what I wanted and how I wanted you to look at me.
Mm-hmm.
See, when you saw Barry and you saw Emmitt, you saw running backs.
Mm-hmm.
When you saw me, you saw a football player.
Mm.
And this is taking nothing away from them. Because in their era, that when they played, that's what they asked them to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I changed the narrative. I grew up, I played quarterback, receiver, I returned, kicked, punts. I played defense. And just as playing baseball was boring when you played in the outfield and you only got to bat maybe once if your team was bad, if your team was good, you might get to bat like 5-6 times a game, maybe 3 times if your team bad.
Right.
I didn't like it. So I wanted to be around the action. So I moved around. So for me, being able to move around on the football field, being versatile, being a football player, not just a running back, that's what I wanted to be. That's what I was.
I felt that you were ahead of your time, though, because I feel like there's a lot of guys that play like you now. But I feel like Brian Westbrook was the bridge.
No. I'm gonna take you. I wasn't ahead of my time. The time was before me. It just wasn't recognized. Thurman Thomas did it before me. Ronnie Harmon did it before me. I mean, James Brooks did it before me. There was guys who did it before me. Don't. I mean, Roger Craig did thousand before me.
Right.
Guys did it before me. It was just like this. You didn't pay attention to it. Larry Sanders was a fullback who did it before me. You just didn't pay attention to it because they didn't mix it up as much as I did.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't just play third down. I did it on first and second, and I did it on third.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when that whole thing kind of came into play.
No,
and,
that's real.
And here's the thing. The separation between Brian and I was when you come in and you are second overall pick, you are hey, this is your offense. They're trying to stop you. And then you add this element to the game. It's totally different compared to you're just a part of the offense. And then you become this, we didn't know. I mean, obviously, if you knew Brian, if you was from that area, you knew who Brian was.
Mm-hmm.
And because of a lot of the things that was done and how we did them, Andy Reid was like, oh, yeah, we're doing this with Brian Westbrook. The Giants was like, oh, yeah, we're doing this with Tiki Barber. This looks fun.
Right. Peyton Manning, how much did you make his job easier? How much, and vice versa, playing for the Colts?
I'm going to say at that point in time, I was making his job easier in a sense that just confirming the things that he worked on, the things that he believed in. That's all. I mean, you couldn't come in and be more prepared. You couldn't. The dude was prepared. Mm-hmm. It was just, the game and understanding the game and the speed of the game and everything. That's all he needed. And that's why, boom, it was in no time. You saw him as you saw him.
Mm-hmm.
The college game was actually too predictable, and it didn't allow Peyton to be who he really was. Because in college, you had to slow the game down because the guys coming in college, they weren't advanced enough. But when he got to the pro level, and it was like, oh, so everybody get to study on
mm-hmm.
football? They don't have to go to class. They don't have to do this. And we get to dedicate this much. And he could be mad at you if you mm-hmm. miss a check.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. To me, talking to various teammates of Kobe Bryant and then talking to Kobe Bryant himself while he was alive, I'm fascinated by, they say when you do a job and you're fascinated with it, it's not work. To me, I feel as though Kobe and Peyton Manning were on that same wavelength. How fascinated was Peyton in the game of football when you guys were teammates in Indianapolis?
To watch a rookie quarterback start every game. I mean, to throw the amount of interceptions he threw and to not lose confidence. Do you understand how many young guys, how many young guys had the first year that Peyton had and they never came back from that?
Mm-hmm.
Or if you go to the wrong coach, if you go to a defensive-minded coach, you never become the guy you were supposed to. They strip you of that. and they limit you. They don't allow you to make those mistakes.
Mm-hmm. No, that's real. When you played for the Colts, I was fascinated by the fact that after you signed your $17.2 million contract and received the $5.1 million bonus, you responded by rushing for over 12,000 yards. I'm curious to know, two-part question. What was in your Wheaties? And back then, what was your song that you listened to in your headphones before the game?
Two good questions, all right. First of all, I grew up in the projects. We didn't eat Wheaties, all right?
Yes, sir.
No Wheaties. No Wheaties in the projects. I was raised on King Vitamins and Kabooms. Anybody out there know what that is? You know King Vitamins and Kabooms.
Yes.
Those were the government cereal. And my song before I played, it was Mystical, Here I Go, all the time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. New Orleans legend.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Every time and rip you from your appetite.
Yeah, I've noticed that when you talk to a lot of different players, you hear in various sports, either being slighted by your draft selection or your team not seeing your value are the two motivators that keep you along for a long time. You look at Michael Strahan; he was not highly regarded. You know, he was drafted. I believe he was a second rounder guy, but he had a phenomenal career. What kept you motivated? Was it growing up in the projects? Was it being slighted and people saying what you couldn't do? What kept that fire under you all those years?
It was funny. So actually, I didn't really have a reason to be, but I made one up. Mm-hmm. I literally made one up because growing up, the sad part about winning awards when you grow up in the projects is you can't afford awards, so you just kind of get your MVP. So you're MVP, yeah, he was the MVP. You don't actually get a trophy.
Mm-hmm.
Trophies.
Yeah.
It's like, the banquet. It wasn't a banquet. You just like at the gym, they just called your name, like, oh yeah, you was the MVP. That's it. You stood up. Yeah, you didn't get. We didn't get trophies. So I never really played for the trophy. But the thing that pissed me off the most was what ESPN, Lee Corso did when they threw Garrison Hurst into the Heisman race against me to pit two running backs against each other so Gino Torretta could run away with the Heisman. So they ate up our votes. Now they could have threw another quarterback in there.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have hyped up Heath Shuler. Mm-hmm. He was having a good year at Tennessee. But instead, they threw Garrison Hurst in the mix, and they knew what they were doing, and then the next year they did the same thing with Charlie Ward, and then my freshman year when I really tore it up, they said the freshman couldn't win, and they gave it to Desmond, who really didn't even play offense barely. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was a return guy, which. That's like if you think about it, when you're a returnman, you're not even playing against the real defense. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to take anything away from Dez. Yeah. It is what it is.
You were the fastest player to gain 16,000 yards from scrimmage in 129 games. In today's football era, you got a certain quarterback with the Ravens who's putting up numbers in his own right. Do you see any quarterback in the NFL that can match your speed when you played?
That's a tough one, man. Oh. I don't know. That's a good question. Hard to. We're gonna have to just wait and see. We'll have to wait and see on that one.
Do you think Lamar Jackson will repeat his run this coming season like he did last year?
In order for him to repeat it, he's going to have to prove that he can pocket pass efficiently enough, because teams are going to make them do that.
Mm-hmm. Michael Vick, to me, I think was pretty close, speed-wise.
It's fast, man.
When you played for the Rams, St. Louis was lit. You had Nelly, the St. Lunatics.
Oh yeah.
What was that?
With the number one song, with I Am number one? How you gonna have the number one song with the number one team with the song that's I'm number one? That's just crazy. All at the same time. That's crazy.
Did you get the chance to sit on set for any of Nelly's videos?
Oh yeah, I was in the Air Force One video. I'm at the video, in the video. Yeah.
What was that scene like? Who else was on the set?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna keep that to myself.
Okay.
Those kind of things. You know, I'm friends with a lot of people, and I'm still friends with them for a reason.
Next question, as Russell Westbrook would say. When you look at the NFL's running backs today, Saquon Barkley stands out, Ezekiel Elliott. What about Ezekiel Elliott in Dallas do you like this season?
This season, last season, every season that he's going to be there, he's the bell cow. And here's the reality, okay? They are going. They have to present Dak with the opportunities to throw the football, because that teams know that a great year they're going to be. But the question is, Dak had an amazing year last year, but the Cowboys didn't. Now, if you ask me, what do I give up? Okay, I'm going to let Dak have all of those yards because that doesn't win games for them. So somehow, some way with Dak, and they have to find out. That's why he brought a new coach in. How do we get these yards to equal touchdowns, to equal wins in the passing game? Because the running game, he's the bell cow.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, if he touched the ball 25 times a game, the Cowboys are 95% of the time they're winning that game. If he's below 15, they're losing.
Mm-hmm. Is Dak Prescott the Cowboys quarterback of the future?
Yes. He has earned that right. He has earned it. He has earned the money already, and he's next man up.
Why do you?
He was hold on one second. Let me make sure I say this. Make sure I say this. If he was Kirk Cousins, Alex Smith, or any of these other quarterbacks, he'd be paid already. Mm-hmm. Matthew Stafford, Bradford, Carson Wentz, he'd be paid already.
He's playing under a $31.4 million franchise tag this season after failing to come to terms on a long-term extension in July. If you're the owner of the Cowboys, what is he worth numerically?
Well, here's what he's worth. Who's their backup?
I don't even know.
That's what he's worth. Put the damn backup out there and put the damn backup out there and see what he's worth.
That's real. I think people forget that. It's not like a situation. I talked about Philadelphia. I went to college out in that area years ago. You had McNabb and then you had Vic. And when McNabb was let go and then he ended up going to the Redskins, you had Vic, and Vic put on a show. It's not like that in Philadelphia.
But hold on, wait. Let's just back up. See, there was no let McNabb go until you had Vic.
Exactly. Agreed. Someone told me in an interview that Patrick Mahomes is the Magic Johnson of the NFL. Do you subscribe to that theory?
Wow, that's a great analogy. I mean, I wouldn't bestow that on the young kid. You got to understand what Magic came into in 79 when he went to the Lakers. I mean, the team that he went to, that was a good team that he went to. People don't understand that.
Kareem, Byron Scott. No, Byron wasn't there yet. Kareem,
Just listen. That was a good team he went to. He went to a good team.
Yeah.
And if you just look at, and Mahomes came to a good team. I mean, they were playing good. Alex Smith was a playoff caliber quarterback. Just came off the NFC Championship with the 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, and if you think about it in that perspective, yes, but if you're talking about Magic as a finished product compared to, this kid who, I mean, and let's be real, because I analyze football from reality.
Mm-hmm.
Second quarter, middle of the third, kid was shaky now. It wasn't until like somebody reminded Jimmy Garoppolo how much money he made and he had to start throwing the ball,
mm-hmm.
that the weight shifted back onto him.
Sure.
But Mahomes was looking a little shaky. People, listen, he broke out of it. He made some throws. Now, it was some I trust you throws. It was some balls that was caught. It was some I trust you throws. And his guys made some catches. And that's what you need. That's what has to happen. But all in all, I don't want to come on Magic. I mean, Magic? The analogy lies in him going to that team and Magic going to the Lakers. I'm gonna keep it there.
That's real. Do you think that the 49ers, when you look at the 49ers and the Chiefs, what did the 49ers have to do to make that transition in the Super Bowl and win it?
Well, they have to get there again, and they have to be in that same situation, and Garoppolo has to complete that one pass. Here's the reality. Let's just be real, man. They protected him. They knew he was a liability, and they knew under pressure what they found out as the season went on.
Mm-hmm.
The game against New Orleans, he threw a couple of balls up. DBs fell out. They knew. They found out. And until he can deal with that pressure, and let me say this: there's a lot of quarterbacks in the league that can't deal with that pressure. The pressure. Let me explain. The pressure that Patrick Mahomes dealt with. Patrick Mahomes was like, "Hold on, wait. I'm supposed to be the show. This is on me. I got to make these throws." Carson Wentz don't deal with it. Kirk Cousins don't deal with it. A lot of these guys, they're not dealing with it. It's the big boy throws that we used to see Peyton making when he needed to. We used to see Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers make it, Roethlisberger. They make those throws. That's why we mention those names. When they get in those moments, they make those throws. These young guys that we're watching now, we have to see them make not have something manufactured where they throw a little screen pass and long run. No. I want to see you throw. I want to see the $100 million quarterback make the throw you're supposed to make. Your franchise.
Do you see Antonio Brown suiting up for a team this season?
I hope so. I'm hoping so. He needs football.
What team?
I'm scared for him without football.
Yeah, I sat down with Antonio at the beginning of the year, and this was before Tom ended up going to the Patriots, and there was a thought process that he and Tom would find their way together in Tampa. Two-part question: do you think it's realistic that he still could, and if not Tampa, then who?
If not Tampa, I think the only two teams that he can go to, Dallas and New Orleans. That's the only two teams.
Yeah. You are a Saints legend, or excuse me, you are a St. Louis Rams legend. I would imagine that for people who were in Seattle who saw the Supersonics go to Oklahoma City, they were disappointed. You having your number 28 jersey retired by the Rams, was it weird to see the Rams go to LA, or were you disappointed?
Well, it wasn't weird to me because that's like, so going to college at San Diego State, that's where I remember seeing the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
I remember it. So being from New Orleans, watching the Rams play the Saints, Eric Dickerson in LA, that's how I remember them.
Mm-hmm.
I think 95 when they moved, or 95 when they moved, which was my second year in the league, that was like, I was like, wow, a team moved, so that was, I was in the league at that point in time. So I understood what happened. And I get it. I understand. Things happen, man. People forget that this is big business. This is big business.
Yeah. What are your expectations for the Rams this season?
It's hard to say. Normally, I'd watched them by now, and I'd see, because for me, last year they just too many injuries on the offensive line for me. You go one year, you make it to the Super Bowl, and they didn't have one change. Their offensive line was together the whole year,
Mm-hmm.
and then last year, I don't think they started the same offensive line back-to-back games. You lose Roger Saffold to free agency, and then things just change. People don't understand how important consistent offensive line play. And I'm not just talking about like playing well, but having the same guys play together.
That's real. Steve McNair died some years ago.
Man.
You played against his team in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
What was your relationship with him? Did you guys have a relationship outside of the football field?
Yeah, we did, because a lot of Steve was from Mississippi, and then me being from New Orleans, we're about the same age. I think I'm a year, maybe 2 years older than him.
Mm-hmm.
We were at a lot of football camps together, so I knew about Steve, heard a lot about him and stuff like that, and was just impressed at his flight, man. And people, and I know you guys talk about Vic, and you guys talk about and they talk about Lamar, but in this now league that if you saw Air McNair, oh my God. People don't understand the man. That was a hard running brother who dished it out, and we're talking about a prolific passer.
Yeah. Who did he remind you of then, and who reminds you of him now?
I haven't seen anybody that. I mean, it just. Let me think. I just there's no like nobody like that. I mean, just the dude would throw the ball with just people hanging on him. I mean, I don't think you understand how strong. Just it was unbelievable what he was able to do, the hits he was able to take, or how he would shed people off and just throw the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was unbelievable to watch him play. I was in awe. And the last drive in the Super Bowl, I mean, I couldn't even watch. I was just like, oh my God, I had my head down in my hands. I was just like, because his greatness and what he was and what he brought to the game, people don't understand. It's hard to be a quarterback, but to go from the SWAC to the NFL to Super Bowl, it just don't happen. The chips are stacked against you.
Yeah, which kind of alludes or segues to my next question, the Rooney Rule. In today's day and age, you see what's going on with the NBA, and you're seeing what's going on with the bubble as it relates to players striking, and now they're back in there. If Nas made a song called "If I Ruled the World," if you ruled the world for the day, how would you change or how would you amend the Rooney Rule?
Well, let's just say this, all right? Until there's a black owner in the room, then all of those rules we don't know. Like they're not. They have no validity because we have no voice in that room.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's just no. If there's no black owner, then the conversation is mute. Like hey, we'll if you hire a black, we'll give you a bonus. Hey, what? You gotta.
You're from New Orleans. If the Saints became available, would you have interest in buying them?
Nah. I don't want to. As now monetarily, that's a great thing to have. You know that's generational wealth. But just the idea of being an owner of other men is it just doesn't rest well with me.
What keeps you going these days? You are very entrenched in business, and I don't want to sell you short. What you do commentating? What for you keeps you going, being away from football?
Being financially literate, I realized that I was not up to par. And it's just crazy, man. The world that we live in, the things that they teach us, all the schooling that we get. You get a college degree, and they don't. And you can have a business degree and still not know financial literacy. And then the people who work for you and handle your money, they're not going to teach you because scarcity of a job. And so that's what we do, man. I literally sit down and I teach people financial literacy. And I want them to know they don't have to pay for it. We just want you to know. We want you to understand how your money works for you.
Couple more questions. You talked about knowing the Rams and being in LA, you playing for San Diego. Are the Lakers winning the championship this year?
I mean, why not? I mean, they've assembled. They have like damn near every misfit from the league, right? Like they basically mortgaged their future for the next. They'll look like the Cleveland Cavaliers in 5 years, right? Right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
I'm just saying, like, I mean, you just got to look at the trail. I love LeBron. I think that he's an amazing athlete, but you just have to look at, when like the collection of talent that he needs to be great, when he's no longer there, those players are not players that you can leave on the team and they're going to make the team better.
If Marshall Faulk is the best thing since sliced bread, what's sliced bread?
Man, I love me some sliced bread, man. I love me some sliced bread. Man. I love me some sliced bread.
Are we talking with jam? Are we talking with Nutella? What are we talking? Just plain?
Just plain sliced bread. That's it. I don't need nothing else on it. It's filling. It's filling.
Last question. Best piece of advice that you've ever received from your childhood that still carries into business and life today?
Oh, man. And this is my high school coach. At the time when he told me this, I get the chills every time I think about this. At the time he told me, I was a sophomore. I was a sophomore, and he knew I was going places. Because as a freshman, I played varsity. He put me I played for the varsity team as a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
And my sophomore year, he called me, and he said, if you're traveling down the road and there's no speed bumps, you're probably headed for a dead end. And at the point in time, man, I had no idea what that meant. No idea what that meant. And then as life has it, you get money, things going great, everything's good, you're smooth sailing, and you make a decision and you feel like, oh, this is easy. Those speed bumps in life, you pay the price to get the knowledge. And that knowledge lets you know that the journey is what it is. But if that road is smooth, oh, something coming.
Yeah.
Oh, something coming.
Yeah.
Something coming. If you don't pay the price for it, something coming. And it took me a while to put it all together. And I remember when I was traveling down that smooth road and I hit that dead end and I called him and I was like, Coach, man, he was like, I'm traveling down the road. And I was like, oh, he said, I knew you were going to call one day.
Mm-hmm.
It's just funny, man. It's funny.
Yes, sir. Well, here's the good news. Minus the technical difficulties and everything in between, you are off the hot seat, sir. I appreciate you coming on today.
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Of course, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Right on.
Yes, sir.